Hello and welcome to Washington Central Podcast. I'm Saurabh Shukla. At a time when the entire world was hoping that the Iran war can come to an end, there will be a final solution that can be found, and the talks will be held, the second rounds of talks. Hiccups have emerged just ahead of the talks. Vice President J.D. Vance, who was scheduled to travel to Islamabad, has delayed his trip, and there is a sense that the Iranian side is also digging its heels. Meanwhile, what's happening on the ground is that the Iranian IRGC have been uh, threatening the US side that it will react to what the Americans have done in the sense that they have boarded Iran bound vessels. One of them, which was a vessel that was carrying ballistic missile material that was intercepted by the US Marines and obviously was hit at. Another vessel, which was intercepted by the Americans, this time way far away, and it was a sanctioned vessel from Iran. They found that and intercepted that in the Indo-Pacific region. So certainly, tensions are mounting. There were hectic parleys at the White House. Clearly, through the day, President Trump was closeted with his key advisors to look for a solution. So what happens next? My sense is that uh, this war is set for its next phase. Not for a full blown escalation, but my sense is that uh, both sides are keen that the ceasefire at least can be extended. Iranians are insisting that the US lift its blockade, but in view of the US intercepting some of these vessels, like the Chinese, the material coming from China, it's unlikely that that blockade can be lifted without any concessions coming from the Iranian side. While it looks like a stalemate, uh, my sense also is that since both sides don't want this war to go on for an extended period, they will seek for an off ramp. And that's what is expected in the next few days. Whether the talks will happen in Islamabad or not, we'll have to wait and watch. But it's a difficult situation. The situation has changed rapidly, and obviously, this will have an impact on the global oil prices and the global economy as well. As I've been saying, that the world wants this war to an end, but clearly, the US side has conveyed, and President Trump has conveyed, that he wants complete decimation of Iran's nuclear material. That means that if the Iranian side does not willingly hands over the enriched uh, uranium that they have, the US will make sure that they mount a limited strike in this case or a limited operation to secure that material. That's something which will lead to some escalation, and obviously the situation may get complicated. Domestically, for President Trump, uh, now there is an overwhelming view, even within his own closest supporters and including the Republican Party voters, that they don't want any prolonged engagement in Iran. Perhaps the Iranian negotiators realize that that's the reason why they're playing hardball. Uh, on the other flank, countries like India, countries like of the Middle East, countries like UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, they're getting directly impacted by this war, and obviously they're looking for alternative strategies to deal with what's going to happen next. I would say that the solution, which was considered as almost done because there was a whole template which was ready, that seems to be becoming difficult, and the window of opportunities is, uh, I would say, getting lost. But my sense is that we will see some kind of a ceasefire getting extended, at least for now. That's where I would say that things may be headed, and some kind of a middle ground solution so that talks can somehow resume, because that's important if we have to see some kind of a lasting peace in the region. But for now, you will see, as I've been saying earlier as well, a state of fragile peace, a state of uncertainty, and also a state where the economic fault lines, the energy fault lines, they will be impacted, and the world has to brace for that. That may also impact the markets. That may also impact the crude prices, which is going to go up and down, and we will see this uncertainty prevailing uh, for a while. Changing tack, let me come to the mediator in this case, Pakistan. A lot of countries are talking about Pakistan's diplomatic achievement, the fact that Pakistan, which was fighting to get relevance for itself, has smartly maneuvered and got itself at the center of the table. At least it's there on the table, and obviously, if these talks succeed, Pakistan will certainly take away rich dividends in terms of in the Trumpian world as well. And obviously, Field Marshal Asim Munir can become one of the favorites for the president. He already is. And obviously, the Pakistanis have cleverly used their crypto connections to President Trump's inner circle and clearly made use of it. But what is a growing concern in the strategic community here in the US is something that the world seems to have overlooked. Quietly, Pakistan, which in the past has been a proliferator of nuclear material, you know about the AQ Khan affair, where the entire North Korean nuclear program was run by the Pakistani uh, scientist AQ Khan, who was the father of their nuclear program. Pakistan now uh, is also providing a security guarantee in some ways, a nuclear umbrella of sorts to countries like Qatar, Saudi Arabia. And it wants to expand, sources tell me, to the Islamic world. So, in some ways, Pakistan is telling the world, especially the Islamic countries, that it can provide these countries with a supermarket of nuclear weapons and also provide them nuclear umbrella. Well, this does not augur well for the global proliferation, and that's what has concerned a lot of observers here in DC as well, because this cannot be overlooked. Because if this is allowed to go unchecked, then you may actually have a bloc building up, which may pose threat to NATO as well, which may pose threat to the interest of United States, India, countries, even countries like Russia, because if these countries are able to provide some kind of a nuclear umbrella of sorts, and nuclear weapons can be provided by Pakistan with such low safeguards of its proliferation standards, of its past record, and also rogue elements within the Pakistani establishment, it may well within the reach of terror groups, rogue groups, uh, and even this whole talk of Iran's enriched uranium coming to Pakistan and then Pakistan distributing it in the way it deems fit may not be a great idea, and maybe something which the US and its interlocutors should want to focus on, because there is a growing concern here that while the talks are happening and the Pakistanis are able to maneuver that, they're also quietly playing a deeper strategic game here, which cannot be overlooked, that of trying to expand their nuclear umbrella, trying to apportion or take away Iran's enriched uranium, and obviously then they can sell it to the highest bidder, which has been a pattern of sorts, as you saw in the North Korea affair, where AQ Khan sold, and led to North Korea developing a nuclear weapon. So certainly this fact cannot be ignored, and the world must raise this. IAEA must take into stock this element which is emerging. And obviously, countries like India, which have a strategic interest in the region, which uh, pose grave threat by, obviously a nuclear Pakistan on its doorsteps, should be concerned about this, because obviously these security pacts are not in isolation. India certainly has great relations with some of these countries, even like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and they should make it very clear that this kind of an arrangement should be viewed with suspicion even by those countries, because one, the reliability of the Pakistan's nuclear umbrella is under question. The second thing is whole proliferation standards, and the US, which has for long been a custodian of sorts to make sure that the world does not have countries which have poor record of proliferation, they should not be allowed to expand the nuclear umbrella, should be looking at this. And President Trump's key advisors should be telling the president on this growing concern as well, because there is a widespread belief that under the garb of these talks, uh, as I was saying, that Pakistan is playing a deep, devious strategic game. And obviously, with China remote controlling Pakistan, the US can never be sure that its arch rival will have an upper hand in controlling this nuclear umbrella should this expand. So that should be one of the causes of concern for the entire global community. Coming to the broader geopolitical aspect, I would again say that the sooner the war ends, it's good for the world. But we still have to brace for some uncertainty. Already, a lot of sectors are viewing this, while the stock markets may have bounced back. But every week that this war extends, it will have a ripple effect on sectors which are directly or indirectly connected to this. Already, hospitality sector, aviation sector are getting impacted. There is a sense that in Middle East, there will be at least 10 to 20 years it will take to even rebuild some of the infrastructure that has been hit. Even countries like UAE, global financial centers like Dubai, which have taken a big hit, will take years to rebound. And obviously, this will have a ripple effect, and the world has to understand how do we uh, regroup ourselves to look for scenarios in which conflicts like these do not pose a systemic risks, because the global economy is so intertwined these days that this is going to have an impact parallelly away from the war. I would say very, very important for US and India. The trade talks are happening in Washington, D.C. What will happen there? Sources telling me is that July 24th is the deadline in which this entire tariff freeze expires. And obviously, before that, the US is very keen that the India and the US sign a deal. Uh, they are talking about an 18% tariff, but obviously, while the formula is out, more or less, there is an agreement that this tariff or the FTA can be negotiated, and a tariff framework can be negotiated between the two sides. Dairy and agriculture will be out of the ambit that the US sides has also accepted. And if that deal goes through on bilateral India-US front, that will be a big win. And obviously, in the bilateral partnership that exists between the two countries, India would also want that this stage, India-US trade deal coming up will be a big confidence booster of sorts for the bilateral partnership, because obviously on the multilateral front, there's not much that they're able to do. Even on Iran war, US and India have been talking to each other. India is not an active member of the negotiation or part of the negotiation, but India obviously has a bigger interest in making sure that things stabilize. And that is where I will say that India should play a proactive role on Strait of Hormuz, because that impacts India's strategic interest directly and also has a bearing on the long-term energy interest for India. So that is where India should be playing a key strategic role, and diplomatically as well, because it's a different ball game altogether in the Trumpian style of administration, where the Trump whisperers count a lot. And also, whoever is the fastest fingers first, so whoever gets to him first, the world leader, the diplomats, they matter a lot. And India would have to play this game if they want strategic dividends in the Trumpian world of things. Thanks for hearing this podcast. Thanks for watching this if you are on YouTube, and do share and let us know what are the topics you'd like me to cover in the Washington Central podcast. Thanks for being with us.